Hello and welcome to American Top 40. I'm Kassem, and this is our weekly countdown of the 40 best-selling songs in the nation. We've got 3 debut records in the survey this week and a brand new number 1. We'll hear the latest from the Eagles, Peter Frampton, Helen Reddy, and Barry Manilow. Of the hundreds of singles released every week, these are the 40 most popular songs in America.
East of the Rockies, you're on the air, and the first caller this night. Good morning.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, Art.
Hi. What is your first name?
My first name is Dave.
Yo, Dave. Where are you and what you up to?
I am in northeastern Ohio, and I am working.
You're working?
Yes.
Oh, you're working. What kind of work do you do?
I am a police officer.
A police officer. Okay. That makes it particularly interesting. Something happened while you were on duty?
Yes, actually.
Yeah, really? All right. Fire away.
Well, I've been a police officer about 10 and a half years, and on the south end of the city in which I work, there are 2 large estates right across the street from one another. And about 4 years ago, my buddy Joe and I were working the midnight shift, and we got called to one of the estates about 12:30, 1:45 in the morning. Somebody had thought maybe there were some deer hunters on the property. They have a large wooded area on the property there. So we went to check it out.
Was it a call, people with guns, that kind of deal?
They got, all we got was that they thought maybe there were deer hunters in there. I don't think they actually heard shots. They may have seen.
Yeah, well, still, if you know there's a gun at the call, your head's up. All right.
Well, absolutely, yeah. We weren't going to venture actually into the woods until we figured out what we had. So
I hear you.
We got there, and we were standing along the edge of the wood line, trying to listen to see if we heard voices or movement or anything in the woods. And after a few minutes, I heard, as clear as day, no question about it, the sound of a small child laughing. And I immediately turned my flashlight on and I started looking. It sounded like it came in from just a few feet inside the wood line, and I could see probably 15, 20 feet into the wood line.
Right.
And I'm looking, and I don't see anything. And I don't hear any movement, no leaves rustling, no nothing. And when I had turned my light on, Joe had turned his on at the same time. And I asked him, I said, did you hear what I just heard? And he looked at me and he said, I think so. It sounded like a little kid laughing.
Mm-hmm. Last thing you'd expect to find in the woods late at night.
Exactly. So I said, okay. So we looked around a little bit, and we didn't see anything, hung around for maybe another 10 minutes, and nothing came of the call. So we left, and we had referred to it a couple of times over the years, just kind of jokingly. Well, fast forward ahead to about 4 months ago, Joe and another officer got called back to the same estate, this time for an alarm at the main house. They got there, and they were met by the caretaker, who explained that the power line had been cut to the house, and that's why the alarm had gone off, and they were standing outside talking to him.
Right.
And they were near the woods, and Joe was kind of looking around a little uneased, and the other officer, Ron, asked him what the problem was, and Joe said, these woods just kind of give me the creeps. And that was all he said.
Mm-hmm.
And the caretaker looked at him and kind of chuckled and said, why, have you heard the kids laughing at you from the woods?
Oh, really?
And Joe was obviously dumbfounded and said, actually, yeah, I did. What's the story? Well, apparently, according to the caretaker, the same family had owned this property for generations and generations. And years and years ago, one of the first couple of generations to own the property had 2 small children that used to play in the woods there, and they both drowned in the pond that was in the woods.
Yes.
And ever since then, according to the caretaker, the family and the maintenance people and caretakers and visitors and whatnot have all reported hearing these kids laughing from the woods.
God, that just scares the hell out of me, and I'll tell you why. Have you heard some of the shows that I've done with EVP?
Yes, I have.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah, I know, and so many of them appear to be small children, and as you're considering life after death, man, the last thing you want to imagine is that a child remains on this earth as it was after something, for example, like that. I mean, that's to me, that's horrifying. And even to the EVP people, it's horrifying. And so there you go. And so, so you think that what was heard was a ghost, and it was a child.
Well, I know when I heard it, there was no mistaking it when I heard it. And like I said, Joe said he heard the same thing. I didn't have to ask him, did you hear the kid laugh? He just said, I heard what sounded like a kid laughing.
God, I really appreciate the call. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Sergeant.
All right, take care. There's a police officer, and as I said, the last thing you want to contemplate is that if there is another life, that it's spent on this earth, perhaps in the same form eternally. There is one counterbalance argument to that possibility, and that is that it is only an echo of you, that your soul has moved on, and that what remains to be heard, like by those two police officers, is only an echo of some sort of your life.
Well, now on AT40, the brand new #1 song. It's by a British artist who had such a strong desire to become a singer that time after time he'd go on stage and sing a song, even though he knew the band would beat him up when he was finished. His problem was he was so anxious to become a singer that when he went to see another band perform, if he thought their lead singer wasn't any good, he'd jump on stage, grab the mic away from him, and finish the song himself. Well, the band would usually keep on playing so the show wouldn't be totally disrupted. But right after the set was over, they'd drag poor Leo out in the alley and, in his own words, beat the hell out of him. But he hung in there, and here's the second #1 song of his career. Moving into the top position this week, here is Leo Sayer.
If I were the devil, if I were the devil, if I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have 1/3 of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree, thee. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing.
Casey Kasem on American Top 40 in Hollywood. You know, sometimes the long-distance dedication requests we get here at AT40 are a person's way of saying, thank you for helping me out. Like this letter from a soldier stationed in Georgia. He writes, Dear Casey, I have a special dedication. It's not for one girl, but rather for two, both of whom mean very much to me, Lori and Karen. Casey, as a junior in high school, I associated almost entirely with seniors. And when they graduated, I was left facing another year. It looked like the beginning of a very rough year. My best friends were gone. I had zero motivation toward my studies, and I was creating some friction with teachers and the principal. But Lori and Karen were in a couple of my classes, and we became great friends. Whenever I'd mess up, I'd get a look of disappointment from them that would sting clear to the soul. Those two were all the motivation I needed to get me back on the right path. Before I knew it, they had walked into my heart, and I had a reason to go on. I came to look forward to going to school and seeing Lori and Karen. My senior year was the best year of my life, thanks to those two very dear friends. Now, I'm in the Army at Fort Benning, Georgia, and though we're far apart, I love them even more than ever. Sometimes I call them up just to hear their voices and to say hello. Casey, would you please play Hello Again as my long-distance dedication to Lori and Karen? Signed, Michael. Okay, Michael, here's your long-distance dedication.
From now on, I'm quoting an open letter from God. My dear children, and believe me, that is all of you, I consider myself a pretty patient guy. I mean, look at the Grand Canyon. It took millions of years to get it right. And about evolution, boy, nothing is slower than designing that whole Darwinian thing to take place, cell by cell and gene by gene. And I have been patient through your fashions, your civilizations, wars, and schemes, and the countless ways that you take me for granted until you get yourselves into big trouble again and again. I want to let you know about some of the things that started ticking me off. First of all, your religious rivalries are driving me up a wall. Enough already. Let's get one thing straight. These are your religions, not mine. I'm the whole enchilada. I'm beyond them all. Every one of your religions claims that there's only one of me, which, by the way, is absolutely true, but in the very next breath, each religion claims that it's my favorite one, and each claims its Bible was written personally by me, and that all of the other Bibles are man-made. Oh, me. How do I ever begin to put a stop to such complicated nonsense? All right. Listen up now. I am your father and mother, and I don't play favorites among my children. Also, I hate to break it to you, but I don't write. My longhand is awful, and I've always been more of a doer anyway. So all of your books, including those Bibles, were written by men and women. They were inspired men and women. They were remarkable people, but they also made mistakes here and there, and I made sure of that so that you would never trust a written word rather than your own living heart. You see, one human being to me, even a bum on the street, is worth more than all of the holy books in the world. That's just the kind of a guy I am. My spirit is not an historical thing. It's alive, right now, as fresh as your next breath. Holy books and religious rites are sacred and powerful, but they are not more so than the least of you. They were only meant to steer you in the right direction, not to keep you arguing with each other, and certainly not to keep you from trusting your own personal connection with me. Which brings me to my next point about your nonsense. You act like I need you and your religions to stick up for me or win souls. For my sake, please don't do me any favors. I can stand quite well on my own, thank you. I don't need you to defend me. I don't need constant credit. I just want you to be good to each other. And another thing, I don't get all worked up over money or politics, so stop dragging my name into your dramas. For example, I swear to me that I never threatened Oral Roberts. I never rode in any of Rajneesh's Rolls Royces, and I never told Pat Robertson to run for president. And I have never, ever had a conversation with Jim Baker or Jerry Falwell or Jimmy Swaggart. Of course, come Judgment Day, I certainly intend to. Now, the thing is, I want you to stop thinking of religion as some sort of a loyalty pledge to me. The true purpose of your religions is so that you can become more aware of me, not the other way around. Believe me, I know you already. I know what's in each of your hearts. And I love you anyway, with no strings attached. So lighten up and enjoy me. That's what religion's best for. What you seem to forget is how mysterious I am. You look at the petty differences in your scriptures and you say, well, if this is the truth, then that can't be. But instead of trying to figure out my paradoxes and unfathomable nature, which, by the way, you never will, why not open your hearts to the simple common threads of every religion? You know what I'm talking about. Play nice with each other. Love and respect everyone. Be kind. Even when life is scary or confusing, take courage and be of good cheer, for I'm always with you. And learn how to be quiet so that you can hear my still small voice. I don't like to shout. Leave the world a better place by living your life with dignity and gracefulness. For you are my own child. Hold back nothing from life. For the parts of you that can die surely will, and the parts that can't won't. So don't worry. Be happy. I stole that last line from Bobby McFerrin, but who gave it to him in the first place? Simple stuff now. Why do you keep making it so complicated? It's like you're always looking for an excuse to be upset. And I am very tired of your main excuse. Do you think I care whether you call me God or Yahweh or Jehovah, Allah, Waka Tonka, Brahma, Father, Mother, even the void of Nirvana? Do you think I care which of my special children you feel closest to? Jesus, Mary, Buddha, Krishna, Muhammad, or any of the others? You can call me and my special ones any name you choose, if only you will go about my business of loving one another as I love you. How can you keep neglecting something so simple? No, I am not telling you to abandon your religions. Enjoy your religions. Honor them. Learn from them. Just as you should enjoy, honor, and learn from your parents. But do you walk around telling everyone that your parents are better than theirs? Your religion, like your parents, may always have the most special place in your heart. I don't mind that at all. And I don't want you to combine all of the great traditions into one big mess. Each religion is unique for a reason. Each has a unique style so that people can find the best path for themselves. But, my special children, the ones that your religions revolve around, all live in the same place, in my heart. And they get along perfectly, I assure you. The clergy must stop creating a myth of sibling rivalry where there is none. My blessed children of earth, the world has grown too small for your pervasive religious bigotries and confusion. The whole planet is now connected by air travel, satellite dishes, telephones, fax machines, rock concerts, diseases, and mutual needs and concerns. Get with the program. If you really want to help me celebrate the birthday of my son Jesus, then commit yourselves to figuring out how to feed your hungry and clothe your naked and protect your abused and shelter your poor. And just as important, make your own everyday life a shining example of kindness and good humor. I've given you all of the resources you need if only you abandon your fear of each other and begin living and loving and laughing together. Finally, my children everywhere, remember whose birthday you honor on what you call Christmas Day, December 25, and the fearlessness with which he chose to live and die. As I love him, so do I love each of you. Now, I am not really ticked off. Not really. I just wanted to grab your attention because I hate to see you suffer. But I gave you free will. So what can I do now other than try to influence you through reason, persuasion, and a little old-fashioned guilt and manipulation? After all, you know, I am the original Jewish mother. I just want you to be happy. And I'll sit in the dark. I really am, indeed, I swear, with you always, always. Trust in me.
your one and only God. End quote. Paul Harvey. Good day.
If we get any call. On my Area 51 line, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello, Art.
Yes.
Hi. I don't have a whole lot of time.
Well, look, let's begin by finding out whether you're using this line properly or not.
Area 51.
Yeah, that's right. Were you an employee or are you now?
A former employee.
Former employee.
I was let go on a medical discharge about a week ago, and I've kind of been running across the country. Oh man, I don't know where to start. They're gonna they'll triangulate on this position really soon.
So you can't spend a lot of time on the phone. So give us something quick.
Okay. Okay. What we're thinking of as aliens are they're extra dimensional beings that an earlier precursor of the space program made contact with. They are not what they claim to be. They have infiltrated a lot of aspects of the military establishment, particularly the Area 51. The disasters that are coming, the military, the government knows about them, and there's a lot of safe areas in this world that they could begin moving the population to now, Art.
But they're not doing anything.
They are not. They want the major population centers wiped out so that the few that are left will be more easily controllable.
Discharged.
I started getting...
Well, this was certainly interesting. We are now on a backup system, everybody. backup system. And that one caller that I had on the air, I guess we were about in the middle of his transmission, his telephone call, which was one of the strangest ones I've ever had. And the entire transmitting system by satellite went down here, and we were notified we were off the air. And it would appear to be from this end and some sort of massive transmit failure. So we are now using a backup system to be on the air. And not that I would normally believe this kind of thing, mind you, but I can't help but wonder if somebody zapped us in some way. We'll find out. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Bell?
Yes.
What just happened there with the transmission?
Oh, well, what happened is the transmitter here blew its cookies in some way. Something knocked us off the air, and we're on a backup system now. And how far into the conversation was it when it went off?
Just a couple, about 15, 20 seconds, I'd say.
Oh, you guys missed. You really missed a call then, and I've got a feeling somebody didn't want you to hear it.
Yeah.
Now, the rest of the story. It was not quite a year ago that Bill's wife got the urge to clean house. She disappeared in the attic for a while. And then she called down to Bill. There were just too many boxes up there and too much junk in them. What did Bill want to do with it all? And Bill called up the stairs, throw it all out. But a few more minutes passed, and Bill's wife said, you'd better come up here and take a look. Well, Bill went upstairs. There on the attic floor sat an old box with a stack of even older phonograph records inside. Bill's wife suggested that at least they listen to some of them before tossing them in the garbage. Bill said, all right. And together they brought the boxes downstairs. And they sat this box down in front of the record player. And one by one the memories drifted through the air, thinly disguised as songs from once upon a time. But there was this one record, this one song that jolted Bill from his easy chair and made him just stand there dumbstruck, wide-eyed, motionless, breathless. What was it, his wife asked? And Bill could not speak. Not until the last word was sung and the last note had been sounded, and then Bill told his bride the rest of the story, that once upon a time Bill and his friend Henry were in the music business. Interesting thing was neither of them could read nor write music. Bill and Henry could sing pretty well, but either they'd always known the songs they sang, or they had to learn them slowly, carefully, by listening to somebody else sing them. Well, one day, Bill came to Henry with some good news. Bill, had the opportunity to cut a record with Capitol, but he needed a new song, something really slick to start the record off right. Henry said, I've got just the right thing. But again, the problem was that the only way Bill could learn the new number would be by hearing Henry sing it over and over and over again. So Henry offered to do Bill a favor. Henry, would go down to the recording studio with his guitar. He'd make one of those acetate demonstration discs, and then Bill would have that one and only copy so that he could learn the song. Well, that is what happened. But after Bill recorded the number for Capitol, he threw the demo record with Henry singing on it. He threw that record in a box and forgot about it until 1988, 37 years later. For the recording that came out into the light for the first time in all that time, the recording that Henry made for Bill, Big Bill Lister, was indeed one of a kind. By now you have surely heard that Henry's son was presented with that demo record, and he took it back to Nashville, and through the grace of studio magic he was able to record a duet with his own late father. And thus were father and son reunited
in a tune called There's a Tear in My Beer, a melody that's been singing in the dark for 4 decades, only to become the basis for the impossible country music collaboration of 2 men with one legendary name, Hank Williams. Only now, you know the rest of the story.
This is Casey Kasem on American Top 40 in Hollywood. Now we're up to our long-distance dedication. This is the feature that reminds us what popular music is all about. Songs helping us to express important feelings. Listen to this letter from a man in Mansfield, Ohio. Dear Casey, I've been married only 3 years to the most wonderful woman in the world, but there are a few problems already. The main problem being lack of time. My wife Carol and I both work. She's on days and I work nights, but that's only the beginning. On the weekends, I'm away even more. You see, I play in a country rock band called IXL. We play almost every weekend, Thursday through Sunday. Although my career in music is looking better every day, I sure miss Carol when I'm on the road. She goes to our concerts now and then, but the life of a musician's wife can be boring. Casey, she sure is a big help to me, helping me write songs, giving me a push when I don't think I can go on anymore, and just plain being there when I need her. I know this doesn't sound like a very long-distance dedication, but when I'm away from her, the distance increases tenfold. So could you please play Beth by Kiss for a very special lady who understands the life of a musician, my wife Carol. Thank you, Mike Scott. Mike, here's your long-distance dedication.
Let's go to our special line. Hello there.
Hello there.
Hi. All right.
Oh, wonderful.
You're obviously calling for one of 4 reasons.
What are my reasons?
Well,
I might have had an ulterior motive here.
Really?
Yes, I did.
You mean like sneaking in on a line that you weren't supposed to call?
No, I couldn't remember what numbers I was supposed to call, so I pushed the redial from night before last. And it rang, so I said, hot diggity. I hope I got the right line.
This is bad, because this is, well, I mean, I can test you if you would like.
Okay.
You may qualify under one of these possibilities.
Okay.
Okay, so we have the weird addiction line. Do you have a weird addiction?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've got that for sure, and it's about you. I'm addicted to your soothing voice every night, and also hearing the temperature of the rest of the country out there as they call in and talk to you.
All right. Hold tight. I'll come back to you because you sound like a good guy. I'm Art Bell. Hi, on the phone. You're on the air.
Oh, good. Wonderful.
Back on the air, actually.
That's wonderful. Art, I wanted to take you back about 4 lunstroms, back in the day where we did a lot of faxing back and forth to you.
I remember that.
Oh, Lord. We had you bouncing around the Radio Shack one night, a handful of us out here in Radio Land. And it was when we were first talking about remote viewing and stuff like that, and you were adamant to the fact that you just were not too sure about it. It just, and then one caller called in and said that he had remote viewed you there in your little radio.
I remember this, and I found something that I had lost, and I'll be
No.
Yes.
One.
Well, that was one.
Okay, it may have been. But the one that I was involved with is I sent you a fax real quick because I could never get on my telephone line. Could never call you.
Right.
And so I sent a fax as, okay, you pick an object, set it on the desk or on the shelf in front of you, and let us fax in pictures. We'll draw them up by hand of what that is. Mm-hmm. And you looked around, and then you found what was a picture of you inside a special, I forget the frilly type frame, like a metal frame that's all...
That's right.
You remember that one?
I do.
And so I drew it up real quick, and I sent it to you. And the only thing I messed up is I was sure Ramona was in front of you at a lower level.
Yes.
And I included her. And then 4 other people sent in the same thing.
That's
except
right.
They didn't have
remember.
Frames.
I remember.
And you were bouncing all over the room. It was so good. I was just thrilled. The wife was she was bouncing in the bedroom with me.
And there was one just as big as that, sir. I had lost something. I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't a tool, you know. And somebody said, open your closet, look in your toolbox, and I'll be damned if it wasn't there. I forget what the item was now, but it may have been my keys or something that I had lost, and it was there. So blew me away. That still doesn't mean that, you know, I'm gulping the Kool-Aid, but it does look like there's something to it.
Well, you know, I've done this since I was a kid, and one of my favorite things is you take a few bounces down the road, and all of a sudden you're elevated and you're flying, and that is just wonderful dreaming. Fly anywhere you want to go, and so when I started listening to you, I would just be so into listening to what's going on. I would find myself standing outside the window of that Radio Shack looking at your house. Oh. And then one time I got over in the corner. I think you got a monitor mounted up there now or something.
Kind of creepy.
Looking down at you. And it was just so cool. And so one time I went over to a 2-day thing in Las Vegas where Ed Dames was teaching this stuff.
Yes.
And I thought, I'm going to get really good at this.